Hey, who's playing for the Carolina Hurricanes this year anyway? A lot of people left. A lot.
Yeah?
Yeah. What do you think about Pesci,
Yeah.
Brady Shea,
Yeah.
other people? But those are the two ones that I think about the most.
I mean, that's a whole deep pair.
That is a whole deep pair.
And a good one. That's significant.
The thing about the Carolina Hurricanes is that for most of the last decade, you could reliably say that's a second round team. They've just never quite got over the hump. And that is what's going to be the challenge this year with a deep pairing that it's maybe not as good as it used to be. You've got Orlov, you've got Walker, you've got Sean Walker obviously joining them.
Yep.
Slavin, whatever you can squeeze out of Brent Burns in the last few years of his career, Jalen Chatfield, and Shane Gostisbehere.
Man, well, for whatever their flaws are, Gostisbehere and Burns can still put it up.
Yeah.
Like that D-core is still really, really good. Like it's better than most for what they lack in defense. They'll be able to move the puck and generate offense. Brent Burns is, me and Julian McKenzie had a fascinating conversation about, is he a Hall of Famer? He's coming up on 1,500 games, and he's actually 10th all time in goals by a defenseman.
That's unbelievable.
But there's an asterisk there.
Sounds like Hall of Fame.
Asterisk there is he wasn't a defenseman the whole time.
Yeah, but most of it he was.
The vast majority, like...
And all the good years. Like, if
people
you're
don't
talking
realize
about his
how
time
long
with
he's been
Wylde,
around.
the most goals he scored with the Wylde is like 17.
He wasn't that great of a forward, which is part of the reason why it was easy to make him a defenseman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like they still like I still think that the D-core is pretty good. Obviously, the coach is really, really good. I think the goaltending is really solid after a very shaky start last year. I don't think this team is as dead as they're being written to be.
Right. Now, we'll start with the goaltending. Antti Ranta has signed in Europe. Pyotr Kochekov will finally be the guy that's there with Freddie Anderson. Goaltending tandem. They're not going to let Freddie play 60 games this year.
No more Thran.
What do we think of this goaltending duo? What can you expect out of these guys?
I have a hard time believing they're both going to be bad at the same time. You know, like this is what a tandem is. A guy gets hot, you go on a run. Another guy gets hot, you go on a run. You can swap back and forth. Maybe one of them emerges and becomes the starter. Mm-hmm. I would think more likely Freddie Anderson's getting older. He's battled injuries. Kochekov takes over. But you never know. This is still a really good situation in Carolina.
Jesse, what sticks out to you?
Yeah, I think if you're talking about the goaltending, you got to lead with Freddie Anderson didn't get to play last season. He played 16 games last season because he had a blood clot for most of the year, and he couldn't play. And then they throw him into he plays a little at the end. I think comes back around March-ish, and then he plays in the playoffs, 10 games in the playoffs. But I don't necessarily think that like that's indicative of what Freddie Anderson is coming up for this season. I think he's going to be a little better because he's going to have a full healthy season where he's not dealing with blood clots. So I think like goaltending is going to be solid because Kochekov can clearly held down the fort enough with Ranta last season. That goaltending solid is not a big concern for them. Where you're concerned about is how much are you losing when Nason's gone, Tavo's gone, Pesci's gone, Shea's gone, like those pieces that are out the door, how much have you filled in the gaps of those guys?
So it's interesting. They replaced Tavo and Nason up front, both really good players, with guys like Jack Roslovic and Carrier. Mm-hmm. And Carolina, in very Carolina fashion, like neither of those players makes me jump out of my shoes, but I'm like, yeah, those are Hurricanes. Like that's a really good fit for them. Mm-hmm. Roslovic, like watching him in the playoffs, I hated him with the Rangers. He was a good player in Columbus. He was a good player in Winnipeg. I don't think he ever really gelled with the Rangers. I just didn't like his game. I think he'll fit in great with Carolina. This little buzzy bee. Carrier will be a little bit more of a pain in the ass. Those seem like players that Rod Brind'Amour can use. And like to bet against the Hurricanes for me is betting against Brind'Amour. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, this season I think we're really going to see that a lot of their defensive skill and what they do on the ice is the systems problem, not problems. Systems. That's why it's their system is why they do it. It's Rod Brindamore and his coaching ability is how he gets them to play in the style that they do. Obviously, they're missing a lot, but I think a lot of it's gonna stay pat because of the great system they have in place.
One guy, guys, I want to highlight is Martin Necas, who obviously very publicly asked for a trade this offseason and was not traded. And even though he had a good year last year, he had an even better one the year before. And a lot of it, he thinks, is down to his power play time. His power play points in 22, 23, 26. Last year was cut in half to 13. With the talent leaving, I feel like he's going to get more time.
They don't really have a choice. He's luckily not making the superstar money right now, and their championship window is probably right now. So that shorter deal it's fine. I think it suits everyone. But if he doesn't become the player he purported himself to be, then the odds of them really making noise against the best teams in the league, it's not very high.
Chess, when you look at the second line, the way it's looking right now, it's Kotkaniemi, Necas, and Roslovic. Do you think Necas is going to be able to work with the talent that he's been given there?
I don't think we should ignore the fact that they went out last season and acquired Jake Gensel.
Yes.
Like they acquired Jake Gensel because there was a hole on the wing that they needed to fill to get more scoring. And then in the end, when they lost to the Rangers, you go down 3-0. And a lot of those games, it was we couldn't get the big save when we needed it. And we couldn't get the big goal when we needed it. So I don't necessarily think second line, awesome, thumbs up. I think there was a problem last year and they haven't addressed it in any way. They went out in the offseason, they went out in the trade deadline to address it for the end of that season. Then it still came up short. So you're going into this season a little lacking up front, if that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
I'm excited to watch Seth Jarvis continue to just wreck shop.
Yeah.
He just got better and better and better. You're welcome, from a Leaf fan. But that's a star.
You still have, you got Aho, you got Svech, you got Jarvis, you got Necas. You still have big horses up front. It's just the tier you're trying to compete in also has very good players.
It wouldn't kill him if Kotkaniemi was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He hasn't been the player that they thought they were requiring
Right.
at all. And he needs to be. He 100% needs to be.
So with that, I want to ask you guys this. Okay, so you got the Carolina Hurricanes last year, second in the division, 111 points. Understandably, they've been downgraded slightly through the odds. What do you think the odds for the Carolina Hurricanes are points-wise?
103.5.
100.
100.5. So are you hammering over or under on that? Because the odds either way are even.
Books love going with what's sexy. And what's sexy right now is the Devils, who took from the Hurricanes. And the Devils the Hurricanes aren't hot right now because they lost. That is why I'm going to be smarter than the books. And I'm going to have them in second, and I'm going to take the over.
Wow. Jesse Blake.
I have the Hurricanes in third in the division. I think you got a clear 1, 2, 3 best teams. And, they could really fall anyway. I think the Devils, Hurricanes, and Rangers, depending on how the season goes. But I have the Hurricanes in third. And I think I'll take the over in the over-under.
Just barely, though?
Yeah, because finishing third, they'll be
smash confident.
I think it'll be 104, 103.
Okay.
And then the Rangers and Devils will be almost at the 10s.
I'm going to agree with you. I think they're a 102, 103 team. I think that it is going to come down to what kind of moves they can make in season. And I think
this isn't the team that we're going to see in April.
No.
There's a lot of stuff to be done here, a lot of tinkering.
We're truly going to see what Eric Tulsky is as a general manager, too, for the first time. Steve, you have a lot of experience with him. He was one of the original bloggers, now an NHL general manager.
Tyler Dello, Earl Schwartz. This is the team that Hockey Twitter built.
That's
yeah,
right.
we didn't even talk about that.
Well, we can right now.
Yeah.
So,
the management structure is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, Dello really helped to build what the Devils are now. Right, Tulsky helped to build what the Carolina Hurricanes have been.
Well, and Aaron Schwartz is a great story too.
Earl.
There's two.
Oh, there's two.
There's Earl Schwartz who works with them, and then there's Aaron Schwartz, who I think is their head of hockey ops. I met him on a bus in Philadelphia at the 2014 draft. He was a recently retired player, like a journeyman, just playing in whatever league would take him. I think Austria. He was transitioning to a job as a agent, trying to navigate all of that. And then one day I saw the Hurricanes hired him. So they like to think outside of the box a little bit in terms of management, this organization. And they've done pretty well.
What do you think Tulski's going to bring? Is it more of the same?
A cool Twitter account, being a nerd, a lot of calculators and charts, and no, he's gonna bring savvy. He's gonna. I'm fascinated by what the Hurricanes do differently, because we talked about Don Waddell in the Blue Jackets video, and we talked about how there's room to praise both men. You could praise Waddell. Not everything he did needs to be Tulski. Not everything Tulski did needs to be Waddell. It sounds like Tulski did a lot of the legwork, and Waddell provided guidance and said yes or no. What Tulski does is going to be more indicative of what he would have done the whole time. And usually with the Wunderkind, the answer is closer to what's more boring. We think he's going to come in and he's going to exploit rules that we've never heard of. And he actually did sort of do that by deferring salary with Seth Jarvis. But the answer is usually no. Actually, he's a lot more like the guy who helped him cut his teeth in the league.
Okay.
Do we now have to dub the Hurricanes front office the Calculator Boys?
Calcucanes?
Oh, no.
Oh,
That's
no.
bad.
Hurriculators?
Why don't we just stick the Calculator Boys?
Twitter Lina.
Twitter.
No?
Stop.
We'll work on it.
By the way, I have the Hurricanes in third behind the Rangers and the Devils. So we'll see what happens. Carolina Hurricanes, that is your season preview.